Greetings ladies and gentlemen, I'm GC Smith and welcome to day one of the official Aether Revolt spoiler season, and boy do we have some exciting spoilers today. Now at the start of this video, before I go into any spoilers, I just want to apologise for any time I look over in this direction over here. This is where I've got my screen set up to actually show me all the spoilers and actually make sure I'm giving you all the correct information. So let's just jump into the spoilers today with Peacekeeper Colossus. 3 generic mana for a 6/6 vehicle artifact at rare with the ability to pay 1 and a white, and another target vehicle you control becomes a artifact creature until end of turn. It also has the ability to crew it for 4, or crew 4, tap a total number of creatures with power 4 or greater to crew it. This is actually an interesting spoiler because it combines really well one of our other spoilers we have today. In fact, our next spoiler to go into. It does cost a lot to crew, but it's actually quite good if you combine it with a lot of other vehicles. Basically, this is the vehicle deck enabler. If you just want to run a bunch of vehicles, this one allows you to crew them all without a bunch of other creatures, so it allows you to go really well with a minute number of creatures for your vehicle deck. It's a pseudo creature that just crews multiple vehicles in one go. Pretty powerful and incredibly powerful. In fact, exceedingly powerful with our next spoiler, Consulate Dreadnought. 1 mana for an artifact vehicle at uncommon with crew 6, but it is is a 7/11 when it's crewed. So inordinately expensive to crew. You're probably never crewing this in limited. It's never going to be a first pick in limited at all. But you combine this with the peacekeeping construct I just took a look at. This card's going to be insane with it. It becomes a 7/11 for 2 mana. Like, it's insane to crew with that deck. Definitely a staple in that deck if there's other ways to enable those artifacts. If there's just another way to simply crew these vehicles, then definitely a staple. If not, it might be on the low end of priority. Incredibly powerful when you get to crew it, but otherwise, bit weird. Next up we have Foundry Assembler. 5 mana for a 3/3 artifact creature assembly worker with Improvise. So this card's quite interesting and it's going to be incredibly powerful in limited, I imagine. Improvise allows you to obviously tap a bunch of artifacts to pay for it. And it's in the design article that came out today, they acknowledge that it's very close to Convoke, the green-white mechanic from original Ravnica block for Selesnya. That allows you to tap creatures to pay for spells, and also the colour of the creature contributed to the coloured cost. This one you can only reduce the cost by generic mana, so you can't pay for any coloured costs with it if there is a coloured spell with this, and there are a few with this mechanic. But it's actually meant to be more closely related to Affinity, allowing you to tap artifacts you wouldn't necessarily tap to pay for it. I think this is actually a lot safer than Affinity. It allows them to push the mechanic more while not breaking the mechanic open, because you can't use the same artifact to cast multiple spells, which is actually quite relevant, especially considering some of the power we're getting in some of those spells. And in fact, one of those we'll see today. Beyond that, it's an easier to cast 3/3. It combines really well as an assembly worker because there is that 5 mana assembly worker from Kaladesh that could tutor for this, which is quite good actually. Anything to actually have more synergies with cards existing in the set is really good. Next up we have Sweatwork Brawler. 3 and a red for a 3/3 human artificer with Improvise and Menace. Again, this combines really well with artifacts in your deck. In limited, this is going to be incredibly powerful in an Artifact Matters deck. I actually think it could make the jump to constructed, thanks to the 1 mana 1/2 white creature that creates a clue, being able to help pay for its mana cost again, making this a 2-drop. Well, not 2-drop, but making it a 3-drop on turn 2. Okay, maybe not easy, but if you combine that with multiple versions of those or multiple artifacts, you can get this out a lot quicker. And with Menace, it's a great evasion, so it could see playing constructed. Definitely a limited playable, not necessarily first pick, but definitely a high, picking it highly is probably going to be good for you if you get the right artifacts. Next up we have Shipwreck Murray, 3 in a blue with for a 0/5 fish creature at common. When it enters the battlefield, you get 4 energy counters, and pay an energy counter, it gets +2/+2 until +2/-2, sorry, until end of turn. 4 mana. I think this is incredibly playable. This is kind of a card that blue's been missing in limited. great card for blue and limited because it allows you to be really aggressive. It generates a lot of energy, creates a good blocker, so if you want to do that, and if you're any of the other energy spending strategies, it allows you to contribute to those, like the mill strategy. But it allows you to be super aggressive and punch through for a lot of damage. Only 4 a turn for 2 energy, but incredibly good use of energy. Next up we have Silk Weaver Elite, 2 and a green for a 2/2 elf archer creature at common, so part of a cycle of common creatures today. And this actually has the new mechanic that we've not yet seen before now. We've already seen Improvise in other cards, but it's Revolt. So Revolt is a mechanic where the card does something else that turn if you've already lost a permanent that turn, or if a permanent's left, if a permanent you control has left the battlefield this turn. So it works well with Flicker, fetch lands like Evolving Wilds actually really enables this, and it also kind of encourages you to play post-combat, because if you've already lost things in combat, this contributes to its ability. And basically this is a 3 mana 2/2 that if you've had a permanent leave the battlefield this turn, you draw a card. Simply put, it's a great reach creature on its own, 2/2/3 with reach, great for green and limited at common. Flyers always provide green decks a problem, this helps you answer them, and can draw you cards if you've already lost a permanent this turn, or you've already fetched, or you've already done other things. Remember, we have the puzzle knots and other things like that in limited, so this can combine really well with that. Next up we have Night Market Aeronaut, 3 and a black for an Aetherborn Warrior, 2/2 at uncommon. No, sorry, at common. It has flying and revolt. If it enters the battlefield with 1/1 counter, if you've already had a permanent leave the battlefield this turn. Pretty good. Next up we've got the white common as part of all these cycles. It's Decommission, 2 and a white for a instant destroy target artifact or enchantment. Incredibly powerful. Definitely good sideboard tech. Anything that destroys artifacts or enchantment in white, they're going to love. The control decks, I think we have Fragmentized, but this allows you to hit a lot more things. It's incredibly powerful and limited, probably a main board thing, especially with all the artifact matters in Aether Revolt. So Kaladesh had a lot of artifacts, but not much in the way of artifact matters. This has a lot more artifact matters in it, and the ability to destroy an artifact or enchantment definitely going to be relevant in limited, probably main deckable in sealed and draft. Revolt, again, we know the clause. With this one, if Revolt is triggered, or if you enabled Revolt, you gain 3 life, which is great. It's basically like the, Appetite for the Unnatural in green, except white, and you need a trigger to gain 3 life, but incredibly powerful if you're in white. Next up we have probably my favourite card of the day. My favourite card, absolutely great, Whir of Invention. X blue 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 for a instant at rare with Improvise, and you search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. When I thought of Improvised, I wondered if we would get an artifact version of Chord of Calling. I thought maybe not, because of its interaction with artifacts and how obscene some of the artifacts in older sets are. Turns out we're getting it. It's great, it's instant speed, this is incredibly relevant and incredibly nice. Not necessarily going to be seeing a lot of play in standard, I don't know. We need to see what other artifacts we get. At the moment, there's no artifact I feel eager for tutoring for. Not triple blue. Triple blue is a huge investment in standard right now. Blue is not a great mainboard colour, it's kind of been messed around with. It's playable for counter spells, and every control deck's in blue kind of to get those counter spells, simply because there's stuff we can't allow to resolve at all because of how it affects the battlefield. Things like Aetherworks, Marvel, and Emrakul. But it's a heavy investment. The fact that Improvise doesn't reduce the coloured cost, not that there's any coloured artifacts apart from the Gearhulks at the moment, but I don't know. Modern, I see a lot more play for this in Eggs. Eggs seems like it could see a great deal of play in that deck. Tutoring up, I mean, they already run Reshape, second artifact to get things. The ability to tutor up end of your opponent's turn a Lotus Bloom for 3 mana to enable you to go off next turn, or to get a Krak Clan Ironworks. Seems decent. Next up we have Schramm's Expertise. 2 white for sorcery at rare. Create 3 1/1 colour servo artifact creature tokens, and you may cast a card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. This is amazing, if only because this enable suggests we're getting a 5 colour cycle of expertises. We've already got the black expertise, the Yahenni's expertise, that is a 3 mana, you know, it's -3/-3 to all creatures on the battlefield, play a spell. This one creates servos and then plays a spell. This one I think is going to be interesting because obviously you've got kind of a control one, you've got this one which enables you to, really is more of a token strategy deck thing. It creates a load of tokens, allows you to cast either Anissa or even an Always Watching, which is going to be incredibly powerful. 4 mana to create 3 2/2 tokens. Pretty good. Pretty good. Just absolutely good. And finally, we have probably one of my friend's favourite cards. He likes playing the Aether Flux Reservoir deck, and this card is insane and goes instantly into the Aether Flux Reservoir deck. If you don't believe me, it is Schramm Senior Edificer, 1 and a white, for a legendary creature, Dwarf Artificer. It's a 2/2, Dwarf Advisor, sorry. It's a 2/2 at rare, and whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, draw a card. What? Whenever you cast a... Oh, this is insane in the Aether Flux Reservoir deck. If you don't believe, it's just going to be great, because the Aether Flux Reservoir decks at the moment run a lot of those zero-cost artifacts to get as many triggers as you can, drawing a bunch of extra cards. You know, it's already running the paradoxical results to get more triggers of those, and getting just a load more card draw. It will just bury you under card advantage. Definitely more of a flute card in standard. That's the only deck you'll really see playing. It could also go really well with the 1-drop enchantment from Eldritch Moon, which I think these might be seed cards. You have a 1-drop enchantment in Eldritch Moon, or in I think it's Eldritch Moon, the one that allows you to cast auras and enchantments as if they had flash, and if you put an artifact equipment into play, sorry, auras and equipment as though they had flash, and if an equipment goes into play, you can equip it to a creature for free. Great. This then draws you cards whenever you do that. Pretty good. Pretty good. I think this is definitely a seed along with that for maybe something to do with Amonkhet. In fact, this could be one of those cards that kind of changed because Amonkhet's come around. It's like, well, we're not going to be losing, well, we're never losing Shadows of Innistrad anyway. And in fact, this is probably a seed with that. To go with Amonkhet, there's probably going to be a huge aura or equipment cycle to do with that. And this could be an incredibly playable card in the future. That said, still goes in at least one standard fringe strategy at the moment. So that's all the Aether Revolt spoilers we have for today. A pretty good bunch of bag, or just a great set of cards, absolutely lovely. Some exciting cards in there, and the indications for standard seem pretty interesting. If they're expecting a triple blue card to maybe see play, then they're going to have to push blue a lot. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see the blue expertise. That'll be great. Hopefully it's a cycle at least, of 4 mana spells that cast a 3 or less. Gonna be good. Hopefully it's a 4 mana instant that draws a bunch of cards, although instant probably have to be sorcery to make it balanced, but still, a sorcery that plays a free spell and draws you cards, I'm not complaining. So yes, thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and look forward to more spoilers in the week to come.